So anyone who's seen the Z Flip 6 keeps asking about the big differences between this new model and the older Z Flip 5. And honestly, it's not immediately obvious. I mean, there's a new main camera and a few software tweaks, but much of it feels quite familiar. Plus it's 10,000 rupees more expensive. And of course that raises the important question, is it actually worth the upgrade? But before I dive into the details, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any tech reviews and any updates on the latest gadgets. So let's chat design first. The Flip 6 doesn't stray too far from the look of its predecessor, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. After all, Samsung's been making foldables for a while now, and the Z Flip 6 is a beautiful testament to that. It just feels really sturdy and well made, almost like they perfected the design. It folds up super compact too, and the Armor aluminum frame gives it a nice solid feel in your hand. Speaking of perfecting things, the new dual rail hinge design offers a more solid feel when you close the phone. Plus the crease in the middle of the screen is less noticeable now. I mean, it's still there, but it's not as prominent. One thing I did notice using the phone though is that opening it up can be a bit tricky. The edges are flatter now and there's not much to grip onto, especially when you're trying to unfold it with one hand. Another important upgrade for the Flip 6 is its IP48 rating, which basically means it's the world's first foldable phone that can survive both dust and water. That's a nice peace of mind knowing your foldable phone can handle both dust bunnies and spills. Samsung also went all out with some gorgeous new pastel colors this year. I just love this new peach color I've been testing, which is exclusive to Samsung's website. The normal colors this year are yellow, mint, blue, and silver, which are all pretty slick too. One minor thing that bugged me though, the rings around the cameras on the Peach model aren't the same color as the back panel, unlike the other phone colors. Had the camera accents matched this phone's color, this would have been an instant win for me. Now the main screen on the Flip 6 is pretty much the same as last year's, which is a good thing. It's still a big, beautiful 6.7-inch AMOLED display and everything feels smooth and responsive thanks to the 120Hz refresh rate. The inner screen also got a significant brightness boost. We're talking 2600 nits compared to 750 on the Flip 5. That's a big jump, and it makes a huge difference when you're using your phone outside on a sunny day. My only criticism is that the display's slender aspect ratio does take a little getting used to, and typing on the keyboard's keys isn't exactly easy. As for the outer screen, it's still the same size as last year's at 3.4 inches with their 60Hz refresh rate. Honestly, I gotta say I was hoping Samsung would make it a bit bigger, especially since the Moto Razr 50 Ultra comes with a 4-inch cover screen. Software-wise though, they did give it a little upgrade. You get a whole new collection of widgets to play with, and you can even stack a few on top of each other. It's definitely a step forward, but still feels a tad limited. Moreover, Samsung by default only lets you use 4 apps on the outer screen. That's not exactly a buffet of choices, and you've got to use this app called GoodLock to unlock other apps, which is unnecessarily complicated. Once it's set up, it's fun to use the other apps on the tiny screen, but the setup itself can be a bit of a hassle. Now that we're on the subject of software, the Galaxy Z Flip 6 is running Samsung's One UI 6.1.1 on top of Android 14. If you use a recent Galaxy phone, the look and feel will be pretty familiar. This year's flip phone comes packed with the same Galaxy AI features introduced with the S24 series earlier this year, like Circle to Search, Instant Slow-Mo, Generative Edit, and more. But Samsung didn't just stop there. They've added some new AI features just for their latest foldable phones. For example, the new Photo Assist feature lets you turn your selfies and photos into drawings, sketches, and 3D models using generative AI. It's a fun gimmick, but I don't think it'll get used much. On the other hand, I found the interpreter mode super handy. Like the Galaxy S24, it does real-time translation between two people speaking different languages. But the Flip 6 takes it a step further with its Flex window display. When the phone is half folded, both parties can see the translation on their screens, making the whole thing way more practical and user-friendly. But the best part about the software is its longevity. The fact that Samsung promises 7 years of OS and security updates is simply amazing. Now let's talk about performance. The Galaxy Z Flip 6 is powered by the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chipset, the exact same one you get in the Galaxy S24 Ultra. And yeah, benchmark results confirmed my initial impressions that the Flip 6 is a mini powerhouse. It scored 6,210 points in Geekbench's multi-core test and 2,160 points in the single-core test. That's a nice bump compared to the Z Flip 5, which scored 5,291 and 2,045 respectively. In 3D Mark's Wildlife Extreme, the Z Flip 6 also outperformed the Flip 5 by a good margin. By the way, the Flip 6 gets a built-in vapor chamber cooling system, a first for any Samsung flip phone. This definitely helps prevent the phone from throttling under sustained loads, which is impressive considering how small and thin this foldable phone is. While it did get a bit warm when gaming, it wasn't anything to worry about. The Flip 6 also handles multitasking like a champ. It can juggle 3 apps simultaneously without any major issues. I'm also happy to see that the base model now comes with 256 GB of storage and 12 GB of RAM, which is a welcome increase from the 8 GB of RAM on the Flip 5. Camera-wise, the star of the show is the new 50-megapixel primary sensor, the same one you get on the Galaxy S24 and S24 Plus. It's been teamed up with a 12-megapixel ultra-wide camera that has an upgraded sensor and a 123-degree field of view, plus a 10-megapixel selfie camera on the inner display. Photos from the main camera are sharp and detailed with good dynamic range, though some textures like leaves can appear overly sharp. The 2x in-sensor zoom works well in bright light, and the digital zoom up to 10x isn't too bad either. Night photography is also good thanks to the larger main sensor that captures more light. The ultra-wide camera is great for capturing landscapes, delivering nice shots without too much distortion, and its colors are consistent with the main camera. Video recording is strong as well, with effective stabilization for handheld shooting. The 10-megapixel selfie camera does a great job with portraits, but as usual with Samsung flip phones, you can take even better selfies using the main camera and the cover screen as a viewfinder. Overall camera performance is pretty good here, but it's also not a major improvement over last year's Flip 5 despite the bigger main sensor. Finally, let's talk about endurance. The Flip 6 comes with a 4000 mAh battery and the largest Samsung has ever included in a Z Flip. While it still falls into the one-day phone category like its predecessor, the larger capacity translates to a more comfortable daily experience. Now, I typically ended the day with around 25% battery left, but your mileage may vary depending on how you use your phone. Unfortunately, the charging speeds haven't seen any upgrades. You're still getting 25-watt wired charging, 15-watt wireless charging, and 4.5-watt reverse wireless charging. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the Z Flip 6, which feels like a refined version of an already great phone. You get a more durable design, better cameras, faster performance, and a slightly bigger battery. It's easily the best flip foldable Samsung has released so far, but it's also not a major upgrade over its predecessor. So basically, if you're using the Flip 5 and it's still serving you well, you'll probably be happy sticking with that. I mean, there's no pressure to jump ship. However, if you do decide to switch, make sure you look out for some great trade-in deals for your Flip 5. It can make the upgrade a bit more affordable. Anyway, that's it for this review. If you found it helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching.